There we go. Now we're live. Alrighty, so with the Brewers and Cubs currently being in a rain delay, we are going live for our pregame show for the masses to see. Our Patreon subscribers, I promise we're not going to short you on a watch party because that is paid content that everybody is getting. So we are going to talk with our Patreon subscribers and figure out another day to do another watch party because Wrigley Field doesn't have a roof. So we don't know how long this rain delay is going to go. So we don't want to chew up a bunch of people's time just sitting and you guys just watching mine and Jake's faces while we wait for the Brewer game to start. If it's going to start, when it's going to start, we don't know. So we're going to do our pregame show, and everybody who follows us on Facebook and YouTube will get a chance to see what our pregame show is like, how much work goes into the pregame shows, how much information comes out of them before the game starts. And then we are live during the whole game. You get to watch the game with us. So this is essentially what you would get from the pregame show. So we're going to jump into that like we normally would, and then we'll end it off, and we'll see if the Brewers end up playing tonight or not. So with that said, I'm going to jump right into the injury report right away. Jared Koenig is back for the Brewers. Gary Sanchez is going to be back tomorrow. DL Hall is currently rehabbing again. He's kind of had to go back and forth with his rehab, unfortunately, because of the comebacker that he got hit in the arm with. And then Devin Williams is currently in Nashville, so he's going to be back soon. We just don't have an exact date. Hoping to have one by Thursday. This week's Wednesday show is moving to Thursday, so just for this week only. But we're going to get into it. We're going to start with the starting pitchers, just like the game is going to, and we're going to get into the starting pitcher matchups. So the starting pitcher matchups that we have today is Colin Ray versus Jameson Taillon. Now, Jameson Taillon and Colin Ray are the starters today. Connor, keep an eye out on the Patreon. We are going to figure out what to do with the Brewers and Cubs in a rain delay, so keep an eye on that. Colin Ray, arguably the Brewers' most consistent starter. He's a true six-pitch pitcher. He throws three different kinds of fastballs, a sinker, cutter, four-seamer. He also throws the splitter, the sweeper, and the curveball. In 2024, I noticed he's going to his cutter as his put-away pitch 9.5% more often, so almost 10% more often than he did in 2023. And he's using his four-seam fastball 7.9%, so essentially 8% less often. Also, for put-away pitches, he's using his splitter more and his curveball a little bit less. So the reason that I bring that up is that Colin Ray's strikeout percentage is actually down about 4% from 2023, but we've seen 7, 8, and 6 Ks in 3 games, all in his last 6. So even a pretty established guy like Colin Ray is still having some tinkering done by the pitching lab. Now, in his last 10 starts, he's given up 2 or fewer runs in 8 of them, while pitching 5 innings or more in 9 of the 10 starts, including 2 7-inning gems. Now, Colin Ray has faced the Cubs twice this year. He's pitched 10 and 2/3 innings. The Cubs are batting .211 against him. Ray has a .253 ERA with 13 Ks, has given up 3 earned runs, including 2 solo home runs. So I think if Colin Ray can isolate traffic to keep potential home runs from hurting too badly, the Brewers are 2-0 this season when Colin Ray is starting. Connor said, if one of those teams have a roof. Yep. And the only one with a roof that has no opening day. Connor, I could not agree with you more on that. It's going to be the second year in a row that we're starting in New York, and it's ridiculous. All righty, moving on to Jameson Taillon. Jameson Taillon is also a six-pitch pitcher, and he's a pretty good starter. He mainly uses his four-seam fastball. He also has a cutter with some sweeper, curves, and a small number of sinkers and a tiny bit of changeups mixed in. His fastball is mainly his setup pitch for his cutter, and while it may sound simple to discount that just because it's another type of fastball, the Brewers fans know how effective cutters are. We saw Corbin Burns do it for years. We know how effective cutters can be compared to a regular four-seam fastball. So his regular fastball is around 92 or 93 miles an hour with just a very minimal amount of movement, very average amount of movement. But his cutter is around 87 miles an hour with very above average movement. So honestly, if the Brewers see a good four-seam fastball, take a swing. With that, the Brewers, or not the Brewers, opponents against Taillon are batting .263 against his four-seam fastball, .256 versus his cutter, 227 against his curveball and 224 against his sweeper. So again, if you see a four-seamer you like, take a swing at it. Now, that said, with the way that Colin Ray is pitching and the way that Jameson Taillon pitches, I believe that this game could end up being a pitcher's duel. I think we could end up seeing another low-scoring game, kind of similar to what we saw last night. Obviously, hopefully without the defensive miscues that the Brewers had. Now, the Brewers, this is their fourth time seeing Jameson Taillon this season. The first three, he pitched 18 innings to a 3.00 ERA and a 185 batting average for the Brewers. Like I said, I think this could end up being a pitcher's duel. The Brewers did beat him on June 28th, and lost to him on May 30th. Or no, sorry, gotta back up. They beat him on June 28th and on May 30th. They lost on May 4th. So don't let him and Chicago get even. That's what I'm looking at for the starters.
I agree. So I think it's time to switch to the bullpen. We're going to make the call to the pen. Need the righty. That's me, the righty. So the Brewers bullpen has obviously been used a ton. They have 410 and 2/3 innings pitched. Still top 5 in baseball. They are 8th in strikeouts. They have 33 saves, which is 3rd, and they have a 22% K rate, which, when you consider all the people that we've had to use out of the bullpen, still very good. They have a 3.33 ERA, which is 3rd. That's a lot of threes. They have a 1.20 WHIP, which is 7th, and a 240 batting average, opponent batting average, which is 15th. So, again, using a lot of different people in a lot of different ways, but the pitching lab is impressive in Milwaukee. So you go to people who are available for the Brewers bullpen, and I found a nifty little graph today. So the internet is a great place when you use it correctly. So in the last 5 days, Elvis Peguero has pitched 41 innings. He didn't pitch last night, but he pitched 28 on Sunday. I would say probably not available today. Hobie Milner pitched last night. He pitched 32 innings, so that's quite a
32
bit.
pitches, not innings.
Oh, sorry, 32 pitches.
32 innings in one game would be a lot.
That would be insane. He would be the GOAT. 32 pitches. That's quite a bit, so he's probably not going to be available as well. Jacob Junis, I think, is a guy that could be available. 29 pitches. He last pitched on Saturday. So 2 days rest, I think Junis will be available. Jared Koenig, 24 pitches. He had yesterday off. So I think he would be available. Trevor McGill, 15 pitches, last pitched on Sunday. So I think he would be available. Brian Hudson's had back-to-back days off. He's definitely available. Joel Payamps only had to throw 4 pitches last night. So I would say that he's pretty fresh if we needed him in a pinch. Big Z has pitched 15 pitches in the last 5 days. Has not pitched since Sunday. He threw 4 on Saturday and 11 on Sunday. So I think he would be available. And Bryce Wilson, definitely available. Only 14 pitches over the last 5 days. So if it comes down to it, hopefully Colin Ray has a good start and we don't need it. But if Colin Ray was getting hit around a little bit, I think we'd be able to use him in that situation. So now we get to the Cubs.
Throw something up before you switch to the Cubs, too.
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to throw out that Bryce Wilson, probably more so than Jacob Junis. If this game does end up starting tonight, and if it starts late, don't expect Colin Ray to go 5 or 6 innings. I would be much more expecting him to pitch like 3 or 4 because the delays do usually take a bigger toll on the starting pitcher than anybody else.
That's very true. Very true. So we get to the Cubs bullpen, and we all know how it started for them, and they still have some absolutely gross stats in terms of like good for us, and we laugh at them. But they have been very good as of late. They have a 384 earned run average, which is 14th, so middle of the pack. They worked their way back to the middle of the pack when they were one of the lower teams in baseball. They're still 20th in WHIP at 130. They are tied for 9th in opponent batting average at 236, so pretty decent actually right there with the Brewers. They have 363 innings pitched, 379 strikeouts, which is 6th in all of baseball, and 23 saves, which is 21st in all of baseball, and a 24 K percentage. So I also looked at the blown saves for both teams. The Brewers have 13 blown saves, and I want everybody to know and remember or be educated on, we are without our closer, an all-star closer, guy who's won reliever of the year recently, and that is the 8th fewest in all of baseball. 13 blown saves is the 8th fewest.
There's a lot of really weird ways that saves are earned also, so it's not like they've given up 13 walk-off hits either.
Right. And you go to the Cubs. The Cubs have 18 blown saves. That's third most in all of baseball. Little tidbit for you. The Dodgers also have 18 blown saves. Thought that was interesting. Add that in there.
But it does feel like the Brewers being one of the lower ones and the Cubs being one of the higher ones, and the gap being 5, that it's not a huge discrepancy across the league.
Right, but if we have Devin Williams, I don't even think that number's in double digits, to be honest with you.
That's fair.
So then you get to who's available for the Cubs bullpen, especially after last night. So Drew Smiley, he threw 23 pitches last night. He threw 27 on Saturday. He has 50 pitches in the last 5 days. No. Tyson Miller threw 23 pitches as well last night. He's at 36 for the week. Probably not going tonight. Just going to say that. Porter Hodge has 27 pitches this week. He's pitched Sunday and Monday. He's not going to play. Hector Neris pitched back-to-back games. Not available in my opinion. Mark Leader, back-to-back days. Not available in my opinion. They have a guy in the last 5 days who's pitched for them who's now in the IL for 15 days. Clearly not available. That leaves 2 people available. Jorge Lopez and Jesus Tinoco.
Okay.
That's it.
One of those things where if the Brewers can drive up Jameson Taillon's pitch count and get him out of the game, the Brewers could potentially get to a reliever that, if they get to him, could just have to stick in there and deal with giving up a bunch of runs. So this is one of those things where, like I said, with the starters that the Brewers and the Cubs could end up in a pitcher's duel here, but the Brewers could also end up winning this game like 10-2 if they can get to Taillon.
Whoever goes in is going to have to wear it, plain and simple.
Or they're going to have to leave Taillon in and ask him to hold on to it too.
Yeah.
Okay. This is probably the segment that I'm most excited for. Now, I made a video the other day on the page about Jackson Chourio, thinking that he should be in the Rookie of the Year conversation. And as far as position players, because we've had a couple people point it out to us on different social medias that Paul Skeens is going to win Rookie of the Year. We said that on last Wednesday's show. Like, Paul Skeens is probably going to win it. But if we're talking position players, strictly position players, the 4 that I'm looking at are Jackson Chourio, Jackson Merrill, Joey Ortiz, and Michael Busch. Michael Busch does play for the Cubs. So I have these 4 players. I looked at hits, runs, stolen bases, RBI, home runs, average, on-base percentage, slugging, OPS, weighted runs created plus, strikeout percentage, and walk percentage. And I found out the top performer in each category. So there are 4 players to choose from here in all of these categories. And I'm just going to go through all of them and tell you who is the best out of these 4 position players for the rookies and who leads this category since June 1st. So since June 1st, hits, Jackson Merrill leads the pack. Runs, Jackson Chourio leads the pack. Stolen bases, Chourio. RBI, both of the Jacksons have driven in 24 runs since June 1st, so both of the Jacksons. Home runs, Merrill has 9, so Merrill leads that. Mm-hmm. Average, Joey Ortiz is struggling a little bit. We know he had the injury there. Jackson Merrill since June 1st is batting .268. Michael Busch is batting .299. Jackson Chourio batting .309. So Jackson Chourio out of these 4 rookie position players has the highest batting average out of these 4. Base percentage, Michael Busch does lead this one at .381. Slugging percentage, Jackson Merrill leads in home runs, so it makes sense that he leads in slugging. Jackson Chourio is .06 behind Merrill. So Jackson Chourio very close there, but Merrill does lead. OPS, however, Jackson Chourio does lead in OPS since June 1st among these rookie position players. Then weighted runs created plus. Michael Busch actually leads this 145 to Chourio's 141. So Chourio very close in that one as well. Strikeout percentage. Michael Busch is striking out 26.5% of the time since June 1st. Jackson Merrill, 23.8. Joey Ortiz, 20.5. Jackson Chourio, 17.8%. Less than 20% of Jackson Chourio's at-bats since June 1st have resulted in strikeouts.
Good.
And then walk percentage, this is a bit of an ugly look for Jackson Merrill. He's only walking 3% of the time. Jackson Chourio, 8.1%. Michael Busch 11.6%, and Joey Ortiz at 13.4%. So Ortiz leads in just the one category in walk percentage. Again, we know he dealt with the injury, but Chourio leads in strikeout percentage, OPS, average, tied in RBI, leads in stolen bases, and runs. So Jackson Chourio is leading in 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 categories. Jackson Merrill leads in 3 and tied for another one. And then Michael Busch leads in 2. So Jackson Chourio is firmly in the race, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
And the numbers, again, this is since June 1st. I get that the whole body of work is in the picture, but if we're talking about awards like this, which is usually, like a trending type award, similarly to a power rankings type thing where it's like, teams that have a lower record might be above other teams that have a better record just because they've been playing better lately. I think Jackson Chourio is one of those types of players, and the Rookie of the Year race could be one of those types of awards.
Agreed.
Okay. So Jake is going to go through the NL Central and the NL playoff race.
Yeah, so this will be interesting. I think you guys will like this information. So starting with games against our division. So the Brewers have 3 games versus Pittsburgh. That's all we have left versus Pittsburgh, and they are away. They have 6 games versus St. Louis, 3 at home, 3 away. So home and away series. They obviously have today's game and then tomorrow's game. That's all they have versus the Cubs. Might be a doubleheader tomorrow. I don't know how.
Yeah, it might end up being a doubleheader tomorrow.
That's how I would reschedule if I was baseball. Like, listen, guys, figure it out. Doubleheader.
Yeah, we're not trying to do a doubleheader in September.
Yeah.
Or a one game in Chicago.
Cincinnati, they play them 3 times at home, 3 times away. So that's a total of 17 total games, 6 at home and 11 away. So, I mean, at least, in my opinion, when I was looking at this, I was like, at least 3 of those 6 are versus St. Louis, who obviously is 5 games behind us. Pittsburgh is 6 games behind us. The Cubs are 9, and Cincinnati is 9.5. So, you look at Cincinnati, they're 9.5. They're in last place. We have three of them at home and 3 versus St. Louis, who's our closest rival. Then you look at the playoffs, right? So versus the Phillies, 3 at home. Versus the Braves, we have a home and away series. We have one at the end of this month that we face the Braves. We have 3 at home versus the Dodgers, 3 at home versus the Mets. That's the last series of the year for the Brewers. So they don't get to start the year at home, but they get to end the year at home. And then I also put in there that they have 3 games versus the Guardians. I just wanted to put all playoff teams that we have remaining. And I wanted to preface that they have series against Arizona, Pittsburgh, San Francisco, Cincy, and the Cubs. All those teams are within 4 games of the NL or the wild card. So, I mean, those are still big-time games. They have 16 total games versus playoff teams, and 13 of those 16 games at home. So, hopefully we can get some home cooking. It'll be really nice to have the Phillies and Dodgers at home. Those will be some measuring stick series. And the Cleveland Guardians, if the World Series, obviously I'm a Brewers fan. If the World Series ended up being Cleveland versus Milwaukee, bro, you couldn't ask for a better story.
Yeah, that would be some Midwest justice there.
Oh, yeah.
Be down for that. All right, so in the same vein, I looked at the strength of schedule remaining for the National League playoff teams as well as the rest of the teams in the NL Central. So looking at the Phillies, Dodgers, Brewers, Braves, Cardinals, Diamondbacks, and then the Pirates, Reds, Cubs, who are the rest of the NL Central. The Philadelphia Phillies, the number 1 team in the National League, currently have the 6th toughest remaining schedule. The Dodgers have the 19th. The Brewers have the 17th. Braves have the 21st. Cardinals have the 7th hardest. The Diamondbacks have the 8th hardest. And then the Pirates have the 9th. The Reds have the 13th. And the Cubs have the 20th. Wow. Strongest schedules remaining. So Cardinals, they got to go through it a little bit. The Brewers had the tougher schedule in the first half, and now they have the, I don't want to say easier because they're 17th, so they're kind of close to the middle of the pack, but a more favorable than a more difficult schedule remaining for the Brewers.
Mm-hmm.
Now, looking at the All-Star break records for the Brewers, in the last 5 years. Well, 6 years. I included 2018 and I took out 2020. So 2020, they should have just canceled that season. Like Rob Manfred is so dumb for 2020. Anyways, that's a different discussion for a different day. So the Brewers' record in 2024 at the All-Star break was 55-42, far exceeding anybody's expectations. There's not a soul on this earth who would have said the Brewers have 55 wins at the All-Star break. Even us. We probably would have been like that 48-49 mark.
Yeah.
If we're being honest, based on what we thought the Brewers could do, even with our optimistic projections of what this team was capable of.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at previous years, they're ahead of the game. They really are. So 2023, the Brewers were 49-42 at the All-Star break. Obviously, they have a few more games played, but same number of losses with 6 more wins this year.
Interesting.
In 2022, they were 50-43. Unfortunately, that season did not end well. 2021, they were 53-39. 2019, they were 47-44. And going back to 2018, they were 55-43.
Oh, wow.
So even the best Brewers team that we've seen in the last 6 years had one more loss and the same number of wins as this current Milwaukee Brewers team.
Whoa.
I think there's a lot of credit that has not been given to this current Brewers team.
Wow. That's eye-opening. I'm not going to lie to you.
That's what I do, man. That's what you come to the pregame show for.
That's eye-opening. Huh.
Alrighty. So we are officially still in a weather delay. So we hope you were able to enjoy this pregame show. If the game doesn't end up happening, hopefully this is still some informative discussion here to let people know what's going to happen should this game come out tonight. Again, for Patreon subscribers, we will figure out a way to get you another game, obviously, because that's what you're subscribed to us on Patreon for, is for the 2 watch parties a month. With today still being in a rain delay, we don't know when it's going to start, so we're going to figure it out a different day. But we wanted to be able to still use the information that we've done the research on, present it, and give people kind of an idea of what our pregame show is really like compared to what the rest of our shows are like. So what you see from Jake and I is what you're going to get. We have the studio backgrounds, and we're dressed up to look nice for a pregame presentation. That's what we're doing for our watch parties. You get this pregame that has all of the information and stuff that we can collect before a game. In August, we've already got the the Badgers opener for Badgers football voted for. That one's definitely going to happen. So that'll be a really interesting one to get a pregame show going for. As well, we're going to have a lot of other options in August. So we're going to talk to our Patreon subscribers and see if they want to do another one in July yet, or if they want to have 3 in August. We will obviously put that out there for our Patreon subscribers. But wanted to give everybody the chance to see what our pregame shows are like. We are going to do a free watch party on August 10th. So you'll get to see what the whole show is like when we're live for the whole games. You get to watch the game with us, and then we do a short pregame. We get back into the studio, and we do a post-game show for that as well. So apologies to our regular Patreon subscribers that we aren't able to do the watch party today because Wrigley does not have a roof, but we will make it up to you, we promise. And other than that, hopefully this game ends up happening tonight. Otherwise, we'll see if we end up with a doubleheader or if they take away an off day from the Brewers and Cubs and make them play a one-day series in Chicago, which would be annoying, but it is what it is. Again, hopefully this game happens tonight. But other than that, hopefully you were able to get some information out of this and get a feel for what we're doing with our pregame shows. And other than that, go Brewers. And our regular show this week is going to be Thursday, not tomorrow. So just a quick program update, but we'll put posts up on that as well. So, you got anything else?
No, man. Hopefully, man, they got to put
It's still raining pretty hard.
Stadium. Yeah, it's raining, dude.
It looks pretty bad.
Oh, God. This game,
you can see the sheets of rain coming across. I
don't think this game's happening tonight. I mean, if they started, it's not going to be till like 9 o'clock.
Yeah, that's what I didn't want to do. I didn't want to keep people waiting on Patreon until like midnight when the game starts.
So it's like,
and then they play a 7-inning game that ends at 1:30 in the morning or something.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's just ridiculous. So,
yeah. So we'll make it right for Patreon. Like I said, everybody else, this is what you get from a pregame show. Hopefully it's something you would consider subscribing to us over on Patreon for. Again, this is one of those things where if we can monetize the show a little bit, we can put more into it, and hopefully someday this can be a career for us. Then we can put even more into it. We can do free watch parties. We can do a whole bunch of more paid ones, and we can do a lot of different things with the show and continue growing. So thank you for that. And other than that, hopefully this Brewers game happens tonight, and then we will see you Thursday.